Okay, now we're into about... Whoa! There's Sally. Oh yes, there's Sally and John. They look so happy together. I wonder what they'll be doing later tonight. Yeah. There's my brother Robbie. He's fraternizing with one of the Gillespies. The Gillespies. Yeah. He's fixing to give a speech.
You clean up real well.
Bob, how did you know?
Huh? Well, I saw you both ways.
When did you see me dirty? At the warehouse? Let me see. Oh no, Bob, I am the better half. I am Diane. I am not the, I am the favored daughter. Yeah.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, there's two of us 11 months apart. No, this is...
And you're favorite.
Yeah, I'm the favored daughter.
What does that mean?
Excuse me, who are you?
I'm Joe Bastille.
Joe, do you work with my father?
I used to work for him.
You used to work for him, General Motors, or MIC.
Yep.
I see. Do you know who I am?
I think you were his daughter.
The better looking one.
The better looking one.
Yeah. The other one hasn't showed up yet.
Oh.
I love this girl. This is my toy.
Hey,
We're going to get
see
some
what's
music.
happening out there?
The weather?
The water's up about this.
Yeah.
It's about this far from the floor.
I'm fixing to get some music on. There's Jim and Marilyn Evans. They have known my dad for years and years and years. How many years, I don't know. Oh, Marilyn, thank you so much. You know what it is, no men. They're good for two things. Number one, if they're good at it, and number two, fixing things. But I added two more, cooking and going to the grocery store. That's it, you know? Is that right, Katie? That is right.
Hello, how are you doing? Long time no see.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, did I see you there at the open house?
Yeah.
Christmas, that's right.
Yeah.
It's good seeing you.
You too. I'll be back. We're going to turn on some music. Oh, my sister arrived. My sister finally arrived. There's Mark and Catherine. This is quite a lively party. I'm going to go find the guests. There's the painters over there. Sally Painter and Bob Painter. There's Mr. Frenzy. There's Donnie Price. He's much nicer than his brother. There's my stepmother, Bonnie. She seems to be having a good time. I haven't seen much of my mother. I don't know him. But that's all right. This is... Excuse me. Dad, could I interview you for a minute?
Pardon me?
Could I interview you for a minute? I've been speaking to your co-workers about the union. I am an avid union organizer. Just organized the union into my local 824. My dad and I disagree very much on this show.
You're still talking?
Well, he said I wouldn't get anywhere, but since we've already signed the contract and I have, he owes me dinner and a movie. Here's my sister. Oh my God, does she look better now? My goodness. may I interview you for a minute?
No.
When I got a picture of you and John earlier, I did add, I wonder what would be happening later in the evening. Oh. And there's Johnny, the better half of the family. Where's Norma? Where's Norma? There's my stepmother, Bonnie. Bonnie, can you say a few words? Bonnie, can you say a few words to the camera? Are you having a good time yet?
I'm having a wonderful time, but I think it's good.
Could we turn on some music and get a little wild?
Sure. How do we do it?
Mark. Rob, when this little presentation is over, I believe that we should definitely put on a little music and get a little wild. Maybe Mr. Evans will dance with me. Do you still dance, Mr. Evans?
Excuse me. Can I have your attention? Attention. We're going to do a little presentation speech here about the man of the day, the honor, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's it.
Robbie, should you call the people?
Jimmy Evans? She got me through diving classes and everything. Okay. Before I start this, everybody be thinking of your little quips that you can remember about. Okay, I have all these on cards because I figured I'd have too many beers at this point, but I haven't, so I might be a little bit coherent. Donna's got here so we can start. Okay, the family of R.J. Webster would like to welcome and thank you for attending the celebration tonight. Tonight I would like to touch on a few highlights of the life of Robert Judson Webster. On August 15, 1924, R.J. Webster was born in Seattle, Washington, of Canadian parents. At the tender age of 16, Bob went to work for the Canadian Pacific railroad ships as a porter. And then the lights went out. That's when all lights went out. This would be Bob's first job in the transportation industry. Our plans are memorized. Okay, bring up the teleprompter. Okay. The transportation industry, a love which would continue throughout his career. At 17, he started getting real nervous about it. At 17, he started working for a shipbuilding company in Vancouver, British Columbia. And at 18 years old, at the age of 18, World War II broke out, and Bob answered the call of duty and volunteered for service in the China-Burma Indian Theater as a radio operator, transporting materials over the treacherous Himalayan mountains in both C-46 and C-47 aircraft. He found himself at 18 in such places as Mizumari, Chittagong, and Chongming. He was an 18-year-old caught up in a war where only 1/3 of the flight radio operator class did not return home. The Hump, as it was called, claimed more aircraft and lives than any other air transport campaign in World War II. Bob often asked for riskier assignments and even extended his 3-month tour. For his valor, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross twice and also awarded the Air Medal twice. After this service in the Air Army Corps, Bob continued his service to the cause with the Army Transport Service at sea, serving on many ships such as the Gaucho Victory, which would take him to such exotic places as Japan, Australia, the Marshall Islands, and also the Philippines. After a short stint with Standard Oil Station, he was hired by General Motors Insurance Corporation, a subsidiary of General Motors. This started a long and illustrious career spanning some 33.5 years. Bob worked hard moving through the ranks from staff adjuster and training to control branch manager. With Bob's leadership and direction, combined with his managerial skills, Bob led a team which was noted being one of the biggest branches in the nation, but also not surprisingly, the most profitable branch. After retirement from General Motors, pursuant to his love of the transportation industry, Bob again started a new career at the age of 61. He was hired by Piedmont Airlines and soon after promoted full-time, and his new career was off and running. US AIR soon acquired Piedmont, and later Bob worked in customer service. His days often included working in the bow of a US AIR jet, lifting many bags in 90+ degree weather. Bob now retires with US AIR with the formidable distinction of the most senior bag handler in the nation at 7. I have a couple quips that Dad always says, so when you leave here, maybe you can pass them on to people. One is, a fool and his money is soon parted.
Talk is cheap, but it takes money to
Talk is cheap, but it takes money to
Just ask Bob.
And his most famous one, and if you know him, you probably can recite this with me. I've been
Around the world 14 times, been to 3 world fairs and a goat roping.
So anyhow, that's the life of R.J. Webster. I just want you to join me in also congratulating him for his service. Wrote this speech and have done it now with some other people's turns to take the floor. And what we're going to do is, I want one by one, as somebody else gets done, I've gone through the crowd and hope some people remember some funny stories about that. I'm sure we may be here for 3 or 4. So anyhow, just come on up and tell the story. Just a quick quip. Don't be scared. Have another beer. So anyhow, come on up and tell the story.
my daughter Diane.
Love is thicker than water, but I'm not so sure about that. I just wanted to say, Dad, happy 70th birthday and retirement. You have carried me through many years of problems and things you might not have agreed, but you always were there for me. And you never liked any of my boyfriends. You didn't like any of my husbands. It's just too bad that it took me so long to realize that there was nothing to like about them. I have learned since then, and I did try to think of some fun times that my dad and I had together. And not long ago, on the Father's Day, I decided it would be a very good idea if my dad and I spent some quality time together and went canoeing. I knew just the place. It was 7 miles, and he was up for it. He thought, this is great. It wasn't until we got settled in the canoe that I informed him that I only drank beer and sightseeing. And that was it. And about 6 miles down the road, he did begin panicking when I told him every corner that we were almost at the end. So he is a good sport, and he has a lot of friends and a lot of family that loves him, and I love him dearly, and I'm glad y'all came tonight. Thank you.
Next. Now we're roast.
70th birthday and second retirement.
Thank you, Doc.
I didn't get to work with you too long, but long enough to know a little bit. I'd like to refer to my notes here.
Joe was our senior adjuster up in Orlando. He's a great guy. He's a good man.
You won't think so later. In June of 1975, I was transferred from the Jacksonville MIC branch to Tampa and was pleasantly surprised to find that you, Bob, as control branch manager of the Tampa branch, were indeed a gentleman and a delightful person to serve and work under. However, there are a few points that you were very important in the conduct and duties of a field adjuster, in which I felt were not at all important in the performance of our duties. Number one was the seatbelt rule in driving our company car. It seems like every time you rode with me, I would hear, "No, you haven't got your seatbelt on." Unfortunately, I was able to reach my retirement with no chargeable accident. To no avail, I now have a passenger who rides with me almost daily. And what do I hear? His sweet voice saying, "Honey, I know someone who has not put his seatbelts on." I was saying her to finish, she has a much smoother, sweeter voice than you. And you never did call me honey. Number two was the dress code on the field, in the field as an adjuster, in contacting dealer personnel, as well as our insurer. In my contact, we stressed the necessity of wearing a necktie, especially in contact with the dealer principals or management personnel. For years, I carried a necktie on my rearview mirror for the purpose, and for many of these years, I regularly forgot to put the damn thing on when the occasion arose. Then one day, I came into Holler Chevrolet in Winter Park to have a visit with the dealer, Roger Holler. I, of course, had failed to put on the same necktie. To my chagrin, I noticed upon entering the dealership that you and also an MIC sales rep, Frank Moran, you remember him, were both in Mr. Holler's office. I made a quick U-turn, went to my car, and returned with my trusty necktie. I felt everything was in order, but was surprised to find when arriving at the Orlando office the next morning, Frank Moran was there and advised me that you had not failed to note the absence of my necktie. But did see the U-turn and the necktie in place when I returned. Frank said you were not pleased, but said, "Oh hell, it's so damn hot today. I'll not say a darn thing to Joe." Let's see. Terry. I, of course, had no, here we go. Anyway, Frank told me about you knowing all about it. Frank said you were pleased and said, "Oh hell," and so. And then I lost the last page. Anyway, you know, I've been thinking about it, and I searched all over for that necktie. And I had on my rearview mirror, and I was going to give it to you tonight, but that damn Bob Lewis, where is he now? Oh, here it is.
But I did work under the direct supervision of Bob Webster for 14 years here in Tampa, and I survived it. I hear about his career here tonight, and we're not talking about an ordinary man or an ordinary career, because he had 33 plus years with General Motors, retired, then went into the airline business, and it was a little different setup because at MIC he was a control branch manager, known as Robert J. Webster. Then he goes to the airlines, and I think they affectionately called him Webby. So it's just a little bit different situation. But I thought with a man that's worked 33 years plus for one company and roughly 9 or 10 for another, you don't know what's going to happen. Where is he going to wind up? What's he going to do next? And I thought there should be, well, they said no gifts. There should be something that he might need if he embarks on another career. And I thought and thought, and I finally realized that out there shuffling bags or what have you, directing people, he probably didn't have need for a briefcase. And I thought I would get him a briefcase in case he would have need for it down the road somewhere. But I didn't want to get just any ordinary briefcase. And I searched, and I searched, and I found what I think is a briefcase that Bob used in his work with MIC. And there's several things about it that makes me believe that's true.
I have that here, so it's easier to hold.
Oh, you're pretty sharp.
And there's one thing we've had a magnetic plate installed so that when you put this briefcase on the back of your car and drive over, another thing that makes me feel that this is an original Webster briefcase is that you can see these tire tread marks. I checked them out. They match a 1983 Buick. And that was the company car that Bob drove for the time. So this most likely is an authentic briefcase that Bob has used at some point for some time in his career. Bob, Godspeed in any career that
About Sacramento. Oh. I left the dealership with a briefcase on top of the car. And lost it.
no magnetic plate.
Somebody found it and it was all wrecked.
Actually, that was my favorite story.
Oh, sorry.
It was.
Barbara. And worked with Honey for how many years?
18.
18 years. She was
18
a
years.
gal that kept me out of all kinds of trouble.
That's what you always said. In fact, the last few years, I've said what I've needed with another knee. I think you were one. But anyway, that was my favorite story. And it came to mind when I transferred from Detroit to Chicago, and I came back for a weekend. I was just in the process of transferring, and someone broke into our house and stole my briefcase out of the bedroom. And it had all the receipts. It had 2 sets of keys to cars. One was a rental car, one was my company car. It had the keys to my apartment in Detroit and the keys to my apartment in Chicago. And it had all of my receipts. I mean, it was like my whole life was in there. And I saw Bob and I told him what happened. He says, "You see how important it is when you lose your briefcase?" It was so funny. But another favorite story was when we were going to Marco Island for a meeting. And there was you and Bob Painter in the front seat, and Travis Henry and I were in the back seat. And I was a smoker at the time, and so was Travis. So we drove about, and Bob hated. I mean, I can't tell you how much he hated smoking. But we got about halfway down there, and Travis and I had controlled ourselves up to that point. Travis he was a smoker too. So finally, I said, and of course, Bob Painter hated smoking too. They were both reformed smokers. And so I said, Bob, would you mind if we had a cigarette? And he said, "Oh no, go right ahead." So Travis and I both lit up. And about that time, Bob hit all 4 of the buttons on the windows. They all went down. My hair went like this. My eyes were pasted on the back of my forehead. And that was the last time I ever asked that question. It's hard to think of only one story. I'm sure there are many others. But I asked Bob a couple of weeks ago to give me some stories for another retirement party that I was at last week. Mike Slater, some of you know Mike. And I did, and we really had a lot of fun with it. It was great. But at that party was Franklin Land, and I told him that I was going to be here tonight, and he wanted me to wish you the very, very best. And Vince Quinn was there, and I told, yes, he did, actually. I said, now, Vince, I know how you feel about Bob. And he said, no, I like Bob very much, but he should have moved.
Wouldn't move.
But anyway, everybody up in Detroit thinks she's the very best. And Bob, I still look back at the time we worked together as some of the best in my life. You're a real special guy. I love you.
In case some of you don't know me, I'm Chris Smith. I'm his stepson. One of the main things I want to say on this day is I've been really blessed with a great father figure, stepfather. And, you know, everyone talking about his work ethic and everything like that. A lot of it has to do, you know, I take a lot of beliefs that he had, and I really appreciate that. But one of the things I wanted to go ahead and let everyone know about was the little event that we had when we were younger. Donna said we needed to come out with a little event. So I come up with my little event, and it reminds me of when I was about 12 years old. I was out on the beach. And we always used to go down to Sarasota and Siesta Key, just about every summer for about 5 years. And it reminds me of the time when we went to Lido Beach.
You were older than
For a few minutes.